there's no perfect time to start. Oh, I can't be a creator because I'm in school. I'm too busy with that. And then they get a job. Oh, I can't create because now I have a job, so I can't do that. I'll do it when I start traveling, though. Then you never end up doing it.
That's Jenny Hoyos. She is a 20-year-old YouTuber with nearly 10 million subscribers. And today, she's here to share her very best storytelling tips.
This is already starting so good. That's such a great question. I've never said this on a podcast yet. I just say this between my friends.
This is Jenny Hoyos. Let's imagine you are sitting on an airplane,
Okay.
and a stranger looks over at you and they say, "So what do you do for a living?" How do you choose to respond to that?
Yeah, I always tell people I make YouTube videos. I either say I'm a YouTuber or I'm a content creator. And usually they'll ask like, "Oh, what does that mean?"
Yeah.
So the way I describe it is I make comedy videos for kids on YouTube, but because of that, I also get to work with some pretty exciting brands where they'll come to me and they need help promoting a new product or they need help creating content for their socials and they'll reach out to me. So not only am I entertaining, but I am also selling.
And when folks hear that, what is probably the biggest misconception that they have off the bat hearing that you're a YouTuber and you work with brands and you make viral videos? What's a misconception they have about that?
This is already starting so good. That's such a great question. Let's see. What is the biggest misconception? The biggest misconception is how easy it is or how that it happened out of luck, because that is not the case. The biggest misconception is they mix up me as a content creator as an influencer, and I'm not an influencer. I'm a content creator who has cultural influence, but I'm not an influencer, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So the way I see an influencer, I don't think someone wants to be an influencer. I'm going to be honest. The way I see an influencer is someone who blew up. Maybe they had one viral video or people just like the way they look and they just follow and like for that, or just because they think they're just funny and they'll watch that. But a content creator is a storyteller. I would say I'm a storyteller. And that means that I studied the art of making stories and making content. I know how to properly use a camera. I know how to professionally video edit. I actually did video edit. And I know how to run ads. I know how to manage Facebook ads, TikTok ads. Like I understand social media in the lens that typical influencers do not. So I don't get to work with these brands just because I have a following. Yes, that's a great leverage, but I work with them because I know how to get results.
Great answer. Great. If you don't mind me asking, I think you're 20. Is that
Yes.
right? You're 20. So
20.
That's generation. That's not generation. Is that Alpha or Z?
Z.
Generation Z. Okay. So I'm an elder millennial. I emphasize elder millennial. I know like kind of the taste in our mouth usually when folks talk about influencers. I'm curious with your age group, just to kind of understand where we're heading with media. What do you think kind of the future is with influencers? Do you think that's still going to like hold a space with this next generation? Do you think we're influencered out? I know it's kind of a philosophical question, but I'm curious like your mindset around looking at content and storytelling and figuring out kind of where somebody sits in those camps. Like, is influencers like even going to be a thing in the future? What do you think?
I think there's always going to be influencers, but I don't think they'll have long careers. I think there will be influencers who phase in and phase out within the span of 1 to 3 years of popularity, and then they're on to the next young person. However, content creators have, I feel, nearly an infinite career. What I see is the future and the right path is these content creators like me, creating our own studios and focusing on our specific niche or content style.
Yeah.
So you look at Mr. Beast, he is reality TV. He has his like own studio. We have Darman, and we have the scripted life stories, like, and that's his studio. And then Nick DiGiovanni, he's the Food Network of YouTube. That's his studio. And I think that is the future. Everyone having their own studios and their own networks on these social media platforms, but even not even just social media platforms. Now, uh, places or subscriptions like Prime Video, Netflix, Tubi, they're buying these creators' videos or even giving them the budget to create this content on their platforms. I think content creators is the way to go because we're building actual studios.
If you're watching the video of me, I can't stop smiling when I watch you talk because I love seeing lit up people, and I always notice it because I feel like unfortunately it's really rare to like run across people who just seem so lit up about their work and like they're genuinely having a good time. And when you talk about the future of content creation and that you are a content creator and a storyteller, I can just see like passion oozing out of you. And maybe it's a little bit of just your natural personality. I don't know. But one of the things I thought was interesting about you is like your first love, tell me if I'm wrong on this, was the financial world. And that was like the path that you were going to go on. And it was kind of accidental that you ended up in this space. And I was curious kind of where you land right now with, I use the word calling a lot. Maybe you're calling to the kind of the financial space and literacy and helping folks in that. And then content creation, like, are those two married passions for you, or is there just one winning over the other right now?
They're both passions. It's really interesting. I think about this every day, to be honest. This is something I've been thinking about a lot today, actually. So I guess for the viewers who don't have the context, in case they
Yeah.
don't, just for the initial context, I've always wanted to be in entertainment. I always wanted to make people laugh and entertain people. So I did musicals. I started my YouTube channel when I was 8 years old, and I was always making videos. But as I matured and got older, at 15 years old, I wanted to become an entrepreneur like my parents because at that time I was like already trying to figure out like, okay, I'm going to college. What am I? Oh, because I finished school early, so at 15 I had to figure out what I wanted to do. So I'm 15 years old and I'm deciding like, what am I going to
Were
study
you
in college? Like,
homeschooled?
what am I going to do? No.
I was homeschooled. I was asking because you said finish school early. Sometimes homeschoolers can finish early.
So what I did was I went to school during the day and then I'd come back home and then I did online school. So I did both.
Wow. Keep going. Sorry.
Amazing. Yeah. It's funny. I do it because I get bored easily. So, or not bored easily. Because I'm never bored because I'm always occupying myself. If I'm not doing
Mm,
something, then I'm
mm.
bored if I'm not doing something. Like I find it boring to just like sit around and just I like do nothing. Like I just can't do nothing. Anyway, I've always been like that. I've always wanted to do something. So I don't even know. I came up with that idea to do school and online school to do two grades at the same time at like 12 years old or something. I don't know. I
Golly.
was a crazy child. But
Golly.
anyway, so at 15, I had to figure out what I wanted to study. And I was still making videos, but I'm like, okay, we have to get serious. And I was like, what do I want to do? And I was like, I know I want to make money. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then I realized I have to study money. I was between finance and economics for a degree, but I stuck with finance. Um, and I kept trying different businesses and side hustles and studying um,
At
just,
15. You're
yeah, the
reading
financial
Rich
market.
Dad Poor Dad at 15 and having side hustles.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I really didn't like, even though I did a lot of school, I knew that I didn't want to pursue that traditional route.
Mm.
Um, I knew I wanted to be my own boss. And after doing all these side hustles, like I was so burnt out and I realized like I need to have like a passion project. Like I need to do something for fun, like maybe some sort of hobby. And then I always like my parents would always tell me, my dad especially would tell me that you make more money when you do something you're passionate about.
Mm.
Like even if it's something that stereotypically doesn't make a lot of money, there are people that make a lot of money in those fields because they're the best because they love it so much. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make a YouTube channel and I'm not going to do it to make money. I'm just going to document my journey and try a bunch of different side hustles. So if you check the beginning of my channel, my first video was me doing Bitcoin mining because that was a side hustle I did. I tried drop shipping, documented that on YouTube, and I went to garage sales. I would buy the items, try to flip it on eBay. I documented all these different side hustles because I just thought I thought it made it more fun. Like I was more excited to do these side hustles because I was documenting it,
Mm.
and it became a passion of mine. And it's funny because I knew people at the time who would tell me like, um, they would ask me like, oh, like what brands would you want to work with, or like with how much money would you be happy making on YouTube? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna work with any brands. I don't want to make any money.
Mm.
I'm doing this for fun. If I start making money, it's not gonna be fun anymore.
Mm.
That's what I
Yeah.
always told
Yeah.
myself. And long story short is the channel blew up so much that it started making much more money than any of my side hustles. Um, and I ended up quitting. Like it's crazy. I was still editing for people because that was one of my side hustles until I had 1 million subscribers. When I hit 1 million, I was like, okay, this makes no sense. Like I'm making more money doing YouTube at this point. Like
Yeah.
what am I doing here? Um, so I ended up just pursuing YouTube, and it ended up being something that I continued to love, even though it became my full time job.
One of the comments on your TED talk, somebody said you shared kind of the formula. I'll link it in the show notes. It's brilliant. The formula for short form storytelling, how to tell a compelling story in 60 seconds. Um, and you lay it out. And one of the comments said, well, one thing she missed in this video is she is so interesting to watch and she's so
I saw
likable.
that comment. I saw that comment.
Yeah. And so I had a question mark around that. From your perception, was it that you dove in and studied the hell out of storytelling and got really good at that? And comma, you're also really likable and fun to watch.
Oh no,
Or
thank
do
you,
you
thank you.
think that there's like an X factor that some folks have that it's not that you don't need to learn storytelling, but seeing somebody lit up, I'm convinced seeing people lit up is what we're really hungry for. We want to see fire and passion and personality and happiness. It's very attractive. What do you, in your opinion, what goes first? Like me being lit up over this podcast and my passion coming out? Or can I put that a little bit to the side? You know what I mean? And really, do I need to
Mm-hmm.
focus on the story? Like, what comes first in your mind?
Definitely the story for
Okay.
sure, because there's different types of audiences. There's an audience for monotone people, not a big audience. There's obviously a bigger audience when you're more quirky and lit up,
Hmm.
but that's something I had to learn as well. I encourage people to watch my first video. My first video on YouTube, when I posted, obviously it got no views, but now it has over 100,000 views. And you read the comments, and everyone was like, um, the top comment is something along the lines of like, this is proof that um, confidence really does grow over time. It's so bad.
Wow.
But I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
That's why I keep the video up, because I'm like I'm like so awkward on camera, and I talk so quiet and dull, and it's terrible, but that's what makes it like such a great
Mm.
story, because you could see throughout the years, like as it got better. I mean, it was very tough for me, because especially when I started content, like I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't have any friends.
Were you
I
shy?
I it was interesting because I've never been shy, but after COVID, I did have like that period
Yeah.
where I became shy, because like it's interesting because as you're growing, like because COVID happened when I was like 15, 16,
God,
like,
I
and
feel
that's
so
like such
old.
crucial years.
Oh my God. I freaking had a
But
mortgage and was cooking soup for my kids and COVID. Go ahead. Keep going. Oh, Lord Jesus.
but yeah, like those are crucial years where like without socialization, you I kind of did turn shy for a bit and
Yeah.
awkward. And it was really funny because when my channel started taking off, there was like a family friend of ours who told me, like, cuz they would always come over and like I would never talk. And when I started blowing up, they were like, yeah, I just can't see you as like someone who's famous, because like you just don't talk to anyone. Like I'm
Man.
like, wait, what do you mean? She's like, you're so shy. Like if a stranger goes up to you, you'd probably just run away.
Oh,
And I'm like, it was funny because I remember telling my parents, and they're like, "Yeah, it's kind of true. Like, you are kind of shy." And I was like, "Shoot, we have to work on this." And it's just something I started building up. I started talking to strangers. Now I talk to everyone. It's funny. Like, and then also like something that helped a lot. And I've said this once on a podcast, I think, but this is really important. My mom and I improv in person. So we will make up fake scenarios and then involve other strangers and go off like just improv. So like my mom, I think I said this exact story in a podcast. I don't know because this one was funny. Was like I was at the grocery store, we were checking out, and my mom told the cashier, it's not her birthday, by the way. Can you believe it's my birthday and my daughter got me nothing? And I have to figure out, I have to play with it. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I got you something last month. That's good enough. And then and then our goal is to make the cashier or whoever the stranger we're doing it to crack up. And that's like our little game or our little joke. Or another time, she told the cashier, I don't know why my mom is unhinged. She used to be shy too until we did this. She told the cashier she had 10 kids. I don't know why she said that. She only has two. It was so funny. And I had to play off of it. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm the favorite. Like, I do everything around the house. And I think just like getting out of your comfort zone. Another time, one time I was at the grocery store, someone told me that they saw one of my podcasts, and then I was like, I don't even know. A part of me was like, you know what? Let me ask them to hang out. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like we should hang out. They're like, oh, I would love to. And I'm like, this is a complete stranger. I don't even know. And I just invited them to hang out with me. And next thing you know, the next day we're playing pickleball together. I'm like, oh, really interesting. Like, and I think just getting out of your comfort zone, it really helps. Like just to get your because I think personality is also really important. If not, no, storytelling is number one, but that's definitely number two, especially if you want to have like a big audience.
Good. I want to. I'm glad you brought up your mom because I really wanted to focus like the tactical side on the B story and bringing in other people and stuff. And I'll get to that in
Yes.
just a second. But before then, I just had a call this morning with a girlfriend, and we were talking about preserving fun in what we do. And I know this is like the most boring ass conversation I ever have. It's like, let's have a conversation about having more fun. But it's like sometimes you have to because you get so much in the weeds with what you're doing and the strategy and pressure on it that sometimes I don't know if you've experienced this. It's like you haven't laughed in a while or you don't find joy in it anymore. And I had written down like how do you preserve like that fun, quirky kind of letting go and letting something breathe a little bit when I'm assuming there's pressure now that you know, work with all these people and people are watching you and is something going to work? Is it not? Like, how do you return back to that fun, playful side? Because it's important, but sometimes it's hard whenever there's expectation now.
That's such a good question, especially like and it's hard to believe because people see this job and they probably think it's like I'm having fun all the time. But trust me, I'm always stressed. I'm always stressed about something. And I explained this like to my parents too. Like the biggest thing that stresses me out is and I don't know how other creators do this. Like if I have to shut down my phone. But then the worst part is turning it back on because
Mm.
if I leave my phone for like an hour or even overnight, I open my phone and I'm like it's like whiplash. Like, "Oh my goodness, why there's so many notifications and there's something happening all the time and there's so many comments." Um like um and that's that's so stressful. I like the
Mm.
one thing I will say, like, because of that, I know I think you have to identify where the biggest stress comes from, and the biggest stress is definitely my phone, which is why like I'm on Do Not Disturb all the time.
Good for you.
I only check it when I want to. I shut it down. I don't use it while eating. Uh, I don't use it in the bathroom. Like, there's a lot of places that people don't even realize that they're always using their phone, which is like so unhealthy. Like, and for me, I don't know what that is for other people, and I feel like it's the same thing for me. I notice my biggest stress is in my phone, and when I'm not on my phone, like it's like time stopped moving, and now I'm able to have fun. And even when I'm filming, I go in
Mm.
airplane mode, like
Mm.
nothing's happening. Um, and yeah, I think it's all. I mean, I don't know if that's a good answer, but
It's a
it's all
great
about finding
answer.
what stops time for you, and just enjoying the moment.
What stops time? I like that. No, I think it's a brilliant answer because the assumption, back to the assumptions of what you do, we would think like, oh, well, she's just like on the phone all the time and constantly producing, as opposed to like saying like, yo, I'm just going to go eat this sandwich. And eat the sandwich and not be plugged in.
Yeah, I cannot
Yeah.
eat while like on my phone because it gives me so much anxiety because I see an email and I'm like, oh no, now I gotta respond. Oh no, now this happened. Oh no, now my lawyer's
Oh
calling me.
no.
But yeah, I think yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hope I think everyone should try that. Like the phone
Yeah.
is it's so toxic. It's so bad.
Yeah, amen to that. Let's get to just a real tactical piece for storytelling that I'm so curious about. I don't think I've ever asked anyone this part, which you touched on in your TED talk. Again, it's phenomenal, and I'll link down below. But the B story and adding in conflict specifically, well, we might want to bring people in. Like when you say a B story, what does that mean in storytelling? What is that?
In complicated terms, it means a dual narrative. But I guess the way to think about it is a single narrative is when one thing is happening.
Yeah.
So for example, can I cook the burger faster than McDonald's? That's one storyline that we're following. A B storyline is when there's two narratives. Now, on top of that happening, now there's also the narrative of my mom is driving the car and she's really mad at me. Like, how badly am I going to get in trouble? So we're following both stories. And the best movies have at least a dual narrative, and sometimes they have B, C, D,
Multiple.
F, G, like plots. Have you ever watched this? I'm sure there's better movie examples, but it's a funny movie. Have you ever watched There's Something About Mary?
Uh-uh.
Really,
I
that's a really
should.
good movie
Okay.
because it's interesting how they do a plot where the main plot is there's a guy that he wants like he's like a I think he's a guy in his 30s, but he was thinking about like his high school crush and he wants to find her and get with her again. And her name was Mary. And that's like the single narrative. But then there's another narrative of like his friend also being obsessed with her, and then there's another narrative of her friend being obsessed with her, and then
Mm.
there's like a bunch of guys who are obsessed with her, and then we're watching everyone's like their own life events and the way they see her, and now we're following like five different story
Oh,
like
interesting.
lines, and they all start like differently, like they're not together, but the movie all ends with them all being in the same room and she's there and she's like, what is going on? So it's like um it's such a good movie. It's so funny. It's so funny. Um, yeah, the best movies have multiple storylines. Is what I'm trying to say. Like the Avengers is such a great example.
Wow.
If anyone's watched Avengers Endgame, you know there's all those different types of superheroes, and we're all following all their different journeys.
Yeah. So I started reading screenwriting books a couple years
Yes,
ago,
those are the
and I've
best.
been having a big question mark around how does this translate or can it translate to short form video? And I think you're proving that it does and it can. And, you teaching about having a B story even in 60 seconds. That's really interesting. And I wanted to get your perception on like solopreneurs, specifically kind of smaller creators. Does that mean we need to consider introducing in our spouses or our mothers or the neighbor and like creating another character as opposed to what you normally see on social, which is just like just me, like what are your thoughts around that?
Characters are so important. Yes, there's people who are successful by themselves, but if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. If you want to go far, you go together.
Yeah.
And um, I mean, look at someone like David Dobrik. Like, it's interesting. Like, I love him as a case study because the channel is called David Dobrik and it's about his life. And he's on camera maybe 10% of the time. It's literally all his friends. It's actually so interesting and so cool. Um, and it's interesting because him not being selfish and him showing his friends more than him makes him the most famous. It makes no sense, but it does at the same time. Um, have you ever watched him?
No, I've never heard of him.
So he records his life, and he's the cameraman. So it's like literally recording in his lens, and you feel like you're watching everything happen in his eyes. So that's why he's never on camera, but
Interesting.
he's still the famous one because we are David Dobrik when we're watching.
Yeah.
It's the way it is.
I think what makes me nervous about that is thinking through like, A, who do I recruit? You know what I mean? And are they cool with being a part of this narrative? And then how much of it, how do you kind of merge the authentic, real, this really is me, and also like a storyline? So it's like nonfiction versus fiction. You know what I mean? And figuring out how to do that. And I think you do a really great job of. I just met you, but I feel like I know you. Like I've seen enough of your content. I'm like, I know this girl, but I don't. I just met you, you know? So you are you, but you also are a character. Your mom also is a character. And I think it's just really interesting trying to figure out how to conceptualize that when it's not
Hmm.
a script in a movie, it's actually your real life, but it's also uh, well thought out and performative.
Yeah, I think the key thing is like it's interesting because we want to whenever we're creating content, this is such a like good something that's not talked about enough is our character. We want to basically have an exaggerated version of who we are. So, um like if you were to stereotype yourself and like you know how caricatures are drawings of you but they
Yes.
exaggerate your features,
Yes.
that's what you want to do to your personality. You probably have so many different things you're interested in, but like if someone were to mock you, what would they do? And that's what you want to play up. And that's why my mom and I have a character that stays consistent. Because, and the reason I think character is so important is because
Mm.
I used to start in a niche because that's what grows the fastest, start in a niche. But if you want to branch out, you're going to lose your viewers because maybe they were
Yes.
only watching for the finance. But if you make them invested in you as a character, everything can change. But if your character stays the same, they're still going to keep watching.
And then your B story, the other characters that you're introducing it, how strategic was that, or was that kind of an accident? And then, like, when you're working with other brands and stuff, how do you help them find who those people are for them?
Yeah, so ever since I learned about B plots, I was very intentional, and um, I made it even more obvious when I first started. I know now storytelling is a lot more subtle, but like when I first started, like learning about this, and I had characters in my videos. There's so many videos. Like for example, I made this one went viral. My grandma thinks Christmas is expensive, so I'm going to prove her wrong by giving her the best Christmas gift with $5. That one has nearly 100 million views. The A plot is because the title of the video, $5 Christmas gift. Can you make a Christmas gift for $5? The B plot is my grandma thinks it's expensive. Is she gonna prove her wrong? And then I did another video, same thing with I always forget my aunt's birthday. So I'm going to surprise her with a $5 gift. Or my dad is the toughest person to gift. So I'm going to surprise him with a gift for $5. Or my mom's never had a Mother's Day gift. So I'm going to surprise her with $5 gift. So like the format stays the same, which is the A plot, $5 gift. But the B plot is why is this relevant to that person?
Mm.
And what is she going to do with this gift to make it relevant to that person? Um, so yeah, B plot is super important. And it makes any video like more engaging. What was the second question?
So if we take that concept of what's worked with you, and then we think about other solopreneurs, other brands,
Oh,
figuring out,
yes.
like, maybe I don't, have people living in my home who want to
Yeah.
do that with me. What are other creative ways people are bringing in a B person without it necessarily being a
Yes.
relative?
You can have a B plot within yourself. Like you don't need a character. Characters are always great. So you could have a video where you have a goal, but there's a little goal like behind that. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of a good movie example. Um, I'm trying to think. For some reason, my brain keeps
You
saying
love
Spider-Man because I think
movies.
I've watched that movie so much. Yeah, movies is where I learn everything.
That's
What's
awesome.
okay? Well, this still involves a character, but I just watched Happy Gilmore one like 2 days ago, so I'll use that as an example. Um, the A plot is it's a golfer. He's trying to become the best golfer, so we're watching his golfing
Yeah.
journey. But why are we watching? We're watching because of the B plot, because of his character, because his grandma he wants to buy his grandma's house back that she lost, but it costs over $250,000.
Hmm.
Now, again, it still includes a character, but let's say it was a house that he lost.
Yeah.
That could be the B plot where someone says, I want to become, like, let's say that's the video. Can I become a professional golfer in 1 year? Because I lost my house last year and I want to buy it back. Like you can definitely just have like two goals, or if you're a brand, you can turn your customers into B plots or the commenters as
Oh,
well.
that's
Like
good.
there's videos where people have the comment bubble on top of their head and they're answering the question to the comment. And that way it's like you're still building characters. Sometimes people turn objects into characters because there's a lot of things that probably mean a lot to you and you can make a video around that.
Yeah, I think Y Files is a good example of that. Like that, this guy, he's talking, but he has just like this little animated fish next to him. I hate that fish, but it's another character, and I think it's interesting watching how he weaves that in. I want to make sure I understand correctly. When you say you could use you as a B character, would a way to articulate that be to think about like external motivation versus internal motivation and making both of those clear?
I think that's a very good way of explaining it. And if someone doesn't know how to answer this, like or how to apply this to a video, my favorite exercise to do is you have a video idea. Let's say it's cleaning my room. Okay, I'm cleaning my room. No one
Okay.
cares, but we're just gonna use that as an example.
Okay.
You want to ask yourself why as many times as you can until it gets really deep and you're like, whoa, I'm cleaning my room. Why? Well, because it's dirty. Why is it dirty? Well, because I don't want to get up from my chair. Why don't you want to get up from your chair? Well, I've been really sad about how someone passed away.
Mm,
Oh,
mm,
like that, and then it's
mm.
like, okay, that's the story.
How much time do you spend writing versus filming?
It depends on the video. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness. Something I noticed like recently is the videos that are the hardest to write, that take me the longest to write, are the worst videos. Like
interesting.
like when it doesn't the story doesn't come natural, like if I'm stumbling, I just save it and I come back to it.
Mm.
And that happened to me recently. Like it's funny, like a few months ago I wrote a script for a video. Um and then I completely forgot about the video because I guess I got stumped. Yesterday I ran into the script and I'm like, wait, the script's only halfway done. Like, and I'm like, how did I not see the story goes like this? Let me just
That's
write
how
the
it
rest of this.
works. Yeah.
Um, so sometimes it's good to revisit. But anyway, back to how long it takes me to plan a video. It really depends. And the reason I want to say that is because it sucks. I've spent like nearly an entire day writing just a short, trying to perfect it, and those videos don't do well, or they never even get made because they just don't feel right. Versus there's other shorts that it literally just came natural to me, and it literally took no time to even make.
It's wild how that
So
works.
the good shorts, literally no time. Like within a minute, I have the whole script. My best shorts, I literally voice note the entire script because it just comes to me. Um, but yeah, there's other videos that take forever. But if you're noticing, like if I'm noticing it's been 10 minutes and the video isn't scripted, if it's been more than 10 minutes, I know the video's not going to be good. Or I know it's not the time because it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes.
Interesting. Conflict. Adding in conflict to your story. B characters add in conflict for sure. What are other ways that you think through conflict and adding in conflict? So you have an idea, I'm going to clean my room. You ask why. You get down to like the core message or whatever. How often does there need to be conflict? Is there a formula to that? And then how do you think through building it in?
Yeah, I think the best way is to have one main conflict that exists throughout the video. So, for example, a bad example of conflict that I see a lot of people do is I was cleaning my room, but then a tornado flew in, and then it went away. So I kept cleaning, but then my dog started knocking at the door. Like it's completely random. Versus having like one piece of conflict, which typically is easiest when it's some sort of mechanism or time, like either that's a time stake or just like regular stakes, and it's just one stake that is existent throughout it. So, for example, a conflict that I think is good is before my mom gets home. And throughout the video, we show how close she is to getting home, and we see that one conflict of her on the way home uh, show up several times throughout the video.
You love movies.
I love movies.
You
Yeah.
love movies. What do you see in long form storytelling, like in movies, that they do in script writing that we should be using as content creators, but we think we don't have enough time to do it?
Themes. People don't think that they don't think about themes when they're making a movie. When those writers are making a movie, they don't make it if they don't know the theme. If they don't know that it's
Mm.
like evil always wins, or family is everything. Like if they don't have the theme, they're not making the movie because it's not going to resonate with people. And people don't do that. They don't think about how it's going to resonate with someone.
Tell me more. Like how do I get to the core of what that is? Do we overcomplicate it? Like tell me more about that.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I do it is whenever I have my idea, I think of my hook, I think of what's going to be the most viral, and then I think about what would be the best way to end that video. And based on the way that I think it should be ended, I can kind of gauge like what that theme could be, and then I build up the video from there and reverse engineer.
Now, I interviewed uh Matthew. Matthew Lunn. Matthew Lunn. He was a Pixar story writer and
Wow.
just brilliant. And he went on about theme for a while in our interview. I love that you said that. And he said that themes, at least in their form of storytelling at Pixar, you don't want to say what the theme is. You want people to be able to interpret it. When it comes to short form and social, do you feel like that's similar, or do you think it should be more obvious?
When it comes to long form YouTube, I think it's fairly similar. With short form, okay, there's two things actually. And this is something that they mention at Pixar. I'm sure you've heard about 2 plus 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess maybe the viewers haven't. So I'm going to summarize it. I'm sure he probably explained it, and there's great TED Talks on it. But with Pixar, their like classic storytelling thing is 2 plus 2 equals 4, which is you don't want to tell people four, which would be the theme. You want to tell them 2 plus 2, and that's enough for them to know the answers for.
Yeah.
But when it comes to short form content, the way I explain it, I've never said this on a podcast yet. I just say this between my friends. But you want to tell them 2 plus 2 and then tell them the answers for, because it's happening in such a short amount of time. It's going to be hard to pick up in just 30, 60 seconds,
Yeah.
versus in a movie, like you see it happening for like a whole hour. You kind of get the gist, but you do want to tell them on shorts is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You want to tell them at the very end though. You kind of want to build it up and um, make them think that.
You're so brilliant. I can't wait when you come out with books and workbooks and all that stuff.
I
All that
really want
stuff.
to
You're
make a
just
book.
brilliant. Um, Coming out a little bit from the tactical storytelling things, there's just a few high level questions I was curious about with you. And that's audience versus clients. And from what I interpret, what you're doing is you have your audience, which are more young folks, and it's more centered around um, more economical ways to live and understanding finances, and you make it fun and interesting and all that. But that's your audience. You're not necessarily trying to monetize them, but that's giving you leverage to be able to create your clients and your business, helping people do what you do. First of all, correct me if I'm wrong on that model. And well, I'll let you correct me if I'm right or wrong on that before I ask my follow-up question, because that's an assumption. My next question.
Oh, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I would say my audience aren't necessarily people who would buy high ticket things. Like
Yeah.
if I promote like a maybe like a $10 product that they can go to stores, like they'll definitely get that because they're young kids, and but they would need to ask their parents, of course. But um for them, like whenever I work with brands, it's mainly for visibility. Like I worked with Disney, for example.
That's
Perfect
so
brand for
cool.
my audience because they can tell their parents, and it's not like I'm selling them, like, well, I guess I am, but like it's a value for them because they get to enjoy Disney, but then they could also ask their parents. So it's definitely very specific brands for those kids. But part of my business is the fact that I was able to build an audience. I'm able to sell to other people how they can build an audience too. So I have tons of clients, tons of students. I have a community with over 600 creators and businesses who are also learning how I did this.
I'm so happy for you. Like that's so badass. If someone's interested in that model, I want to create an audience with specific type of content and have my clients different and separate those two a little bit. What words of advice do you have from them that people don't really understand about that model, or ways that you conceptualize that? Because a lot of people who are attracted to this show and in my life kind of had that same calling and nudge that you did when you were younger. They like entertainment, they are communicators, they want to create fun, entertaining things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's a straight just business model in and of itself. It can be at times, but also usually there also is this other side business and this thing that they do to help folks. So having both of those worlds, what have you learned? What do you wish you knew before you got started?
Ooh, that's a good question. I what do I wish I knew? Hmm. I don't think I would change anything that I did now, but I'm saying that now because I am liking where I am. But it is also important to know that just because you have a a big audience doesn't mean that someone who has a smaller audience would is making less or like is less impactful.
Yeah.
So like let's say I decided to take a different route and I wanted imagine if I had the amount of like subscribers I have now, but all the content was about content creation and entrepreneurship. Oh, forget it. I'd have a $100 million business overnight. Like,
Yeah.
that's such a valuable audience. Um, so that's something interesting to know. But yeah, I think it's all about knowing what your goals and dreams are and what excites you most. And at this point, I'm just doing what I find most fun and excites me, and it's entertaining. And because of that, there's two types of creators. There's the business owner who wants to become a creator, and then there's a creator who's trying to become a business owner. And I
Mm,
think both work. It's definitely easier to go from business owner to creator because they already have the money, they can get all the team,
yeah.
um, and they're going to be making money a lot faster than creator trying to figure out the business. So for me, it's like I have to now figure out what's the best business for my followers, who are very young. It needs to be a product less than $10. That's
Yeah.
that's for certain. Like
Yeah.
Mr. Beast, his chocolate bars are $2, and that's doing very well for him.
We have bought many of those in my house. I have a 12-year-old and 8-year-old, and I'll tell you that and what is that, Joyride?
Joyride.
Oh my God. I've gone to Target to just buy Joyride and get pictures of them because I have to. They're like, Mom, you got to post it. It's Joyride Day. It works. Um,
Yeah.
in your bio on Instagram, it is Ecclesiastes 11:4.
Yes.
Whoever watches the wind will not plant, and whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. What does that mean?
It's a good one. That's a good one. Um, yeah, the way they write it, it's like it's so hard to interpret or understand it. Um, but the way that I apply it is actually I read a similar one today actually, and it kind of reminded me of
Mhm.
that. Where there's no perfect time to start. Sometimes I used to tell myself this, like, no, like, and people tell themselves this too, actually. This is what people tell themselves. Oh, I can't be a creator because I'm in school. I'm too busy with that. And
Yeah.
then they get a job. Oh, I can't create because now I have a job, so I can't do that. I'll do it when I start traveling though. And then it's like, oh, I'm traveling. Oh, but I can't create because I want to like enjoy the moment. It's not the time yet. And then you never end up doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what happens like with anything in life.
Mm.
There's never a perfect time to start anything. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time to start was today.
Yeah. I have a final question for you, but you did not have to say yes to a random stranger on the internet who asked for an hour of your time. I've been following you. It's been about at least a year, if not a year and a half. And you radiate goodness. I don't know you personally, but I can just tell it just seeps out of you goodness, and your heart is beautiful. And I can tell that you love what you do. And as a mom, it's so cool to know that there are creators out there that are pouring life and good lessons into this next generation. So thank you for not only your time today, but also the generational impact that you're making. I love seeing good people win, and I can't wait to see when you're my age where you're going to be. It's going to be wild. Before a final question, where would you like to direct our listeners to?
Um, Email me. I mean, if you have any questions, if you want to work together, I'm happy to help. If it's a simple question, I'll just answer it. Like I won't ask you to pay me. But if you want me to like do a channel audit, like that's a different story.
Yeah.
Now we gotta set something up. But I love helping creators of any size. I have different packages for different budgets and different places that creators are at with their career. So email me, team@jennyhoyos.com. And I'm excited to help people.
Let's go. Let's get very last question. What is something in your life right now that you are deeply, deeply questioning? And it could be related to social media and storytelling. It could be something not related, but what's been on your mind and your heart lately that you're just like, man, I don't know.
Great question. So I am clearly passionate about content creation, but I'm also passionate about finance and entrepreneurship and business. But then I'm also passionate about health and well-being.
Mm,
And like all these passions are like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm most passionate about health, to be honest, out of everything in life, because that is everything.
wow.
And it's like, how do I juggle all these things? And I guess like um the biggest thing I'm questioning is I do want to teach people on my content, and I do want to create a series, but what do I do it around? Something I've been like telling myself is like, do I create content where I teach people like and help people become an entrepreneur like the way I did? Like
Yeah.
for example, doing what I did back then, showing how all the different businesses I did and different businesses that you could do as someone under 18, or if you don't drive, or if you do drive, like do I do that? Is that going to be helpful? Or do I teach them all the stuff I know about health? Because just a small little fact I love dropping this is so there's a billionaire who's like reversing his aging, and there's like a website that like
Brian
ranks the
Johnson?
best. Yeah, Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
So he has a website with the best biohackers in the world. I'm number 15. Like I'm a top biohacker.
Stop.
Yeah, I'm legitimately a top biohacker, which is why like it's like,
You
and
just
by the
blew my
way,
mind. No, you're not. Are you really?
yeah, I am for real.
I
And
love
I
Brian
want to take the
Johnson. I
test.
follow all that stuff.
No way.
Yes.
I
Why didn't
bet
we just
you
talk
by
about
the end of this year I'm
storytelling?
going to be top 10. I'm trying to beat Brian Johnson. I want to beat Brian Johnson to prove you don't need billions or even millions. I spend less than 1,000 a month on my health, and I'm top 15.
Please do that. I know I like you have a lot on your plate, but that is such a badass vision, man. First of all, I love biohacking. I watch all his stuff, but it's so
Yeah,
expensive.
exactly. And
Wow.
that's where the money comes in, because I know all the hacks to save money.
You just blew
I know
my
all the
mind.
hacks to save money on top
You
of it.
just
So
blew my
actually, maybe
mind.
it's the two worlds combined, because no, there's lots of hacks to save money. It's all about getting good quality food. I'm gonna throw like a small little hack that I've been telling my family that like now everyone in my family does. We used to buy like chicken breasts or chicken thighs,
Yeah.
right? And um, I told my parents, did you know non-organic, just a pack of non-organic chicken breasts costs more than getting the whole organic chicken? And you can take out the breast if you want to, or you could
Wow.
just bake the whole thing and have more meat. So like that's like a small hack, and like there's a bunch of different hacks. Frozen fruits cost a lot cheaper, but also frozen blueberries have a lot more nutrients after it's been frozen than when it's been fresh. Did you know that? It's cheaper and it has
No.
more nutrients. Insane. There's lots of different hacks that I know, like for biohacking. That's just like, I maybe the two worlds combined. It's exciting.
You just blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank
This
you.
was awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. This was an amazing conversation.